Good morning, YouTube. I am Bearded Ink, and today we have another tutorial for you on Studio Mode, which is a powerful little built-in feature to OBS that you may not be using correctly. So we're going to explain what Studio Mode is, how to access it, how to best utilize it, and then we're going to explain all of the features and all of the settings for it, as well as some of the caveats and downfalls. But along the way, I'll be showing you some best practices on how you can use studio mode while you are streaming or recording to get the most out of the features to make it as practical for you as possible. So without further ado, let's just get right into it, shall we? Okay. So there's a couple things that we need to talk about. First, basically, studio mode is a feature, like I said, in OBS, but it's basically a way to transition to scenes. That's kind of basically what it's designed for. So to access that, we're going to zoom in here. Over in your controls section, you will see that there are different buttons here. So we have the start streaming, start recording, of course. And then if you look, there's a button called studio mode. And when you press this button, we have dual views here basically. And if you look at the top up here, you'll see one says program and the other says preview, and then it'll show you what scene it is showing. Now, the one on the right, the program, this is what is going out to your live stream or to your recording. The preview is not seen by anybody. And this allows you to make changes, to go to different scenes, to add elements or sources to a scene without it affecting what's currently being broadcast to your live stream. And then we have some buttons here in the middle that will do various different things, which we'll cover in just a moment. So the important thing to remember is while studio mode is open, what you see on the right is what stream is seeing, and what happens on the left, only you see. Okay. So let's zoom in here real quick, and we're going to talk about some of these things here and how to use studio mode. So you'll see here that we have a transition button. And if we click this, basically what it's going to do is it's going to take whatever's in the preview side and send it to the live stream side. And it's going to do so with whatever default uh, scene transition you have set up. So we need to talk about the scene transitions for just a moment. So scene transitions is a dock in OBS. So if you don't have the scene transition dock already, you just go up to docks here and find the scene transitions and make sure that it is checked. And it is a dock, so you can put it, I usually put it with my audio mixer down here. But basically this shows you what current scene transition options you have. So in this instance, we have the cut and the fade. But if you click the little plus button, you can add different ones. So swipe, slide, stinger, fade to color, Luma wipe. These are all default here, but they're not default activated. So we can just, for example, add swipe to our list. We can rename it if you want to, set it up if it's left or right. So then you can preview. Obviously, you know how scene transitions kind of work. And we click OK. And now swipe is in this list here, right? So if we have swipe set up as our default and we click the button, it's going to swipe that over. So let me zoom out so you can actually see it happening. We're going to click there and you see how it swipes. So because we're on the same scene, it's swiping to that same scene. So again, with studio mode open, if I were to go to my game scene and then click, you'll see that it switches over to the game scene. All right. But let's say we don't want to use the swipe, for example. So we want to go back to our starting soon, but we don't want to use the swipe button. We can come in here and you can see that there's the cut, the fade, and then a fade to black, which will not unfade from black, by the way. And if you click these buttons, it'll just do that transition, right? We can go back to our game scene here, and then we can fade to our game scene. And then you can see here that there's little arrows. These will allow you to change what these quick buttons are. So if I don't want the fade, for example, we can change the fade to the swipe. You can also change the milliseconds and how long it takes. You can make it longer or shorter. So if we do like a 1 second or 1,000 millisecond swipe, then when I do the swipe, and just to make it variable, we'll go back here. You'll see that it takes an entire second to swipe over. So these are just quick ways that you can transition from one scene to the other. And then, of course, we have this slider bar here. And what this does, and if you can see it, I don't know if you can see it there, it's a manual control of the default transition that you have, right? So if we zoom out now, let's say I change my default down here to the fade, right? So now if I do this, it's going to fade to the new transition. Actually, let's make this a little bit more visible. You can see here it's starting to fade as I bring this over. And then when you get to the end and let go, it'll complete the swap, right? So I can come here and then now we're on the new scene, right? Okay. Couple other little things with the middle section that we want to cover, this 3-dot menu. We have 3 options. We have the duplicate scene, duplicate sources, and swap preview program scenes after transitioning. Okay. So what's going to happen? We're going to go from the bottom to the top. So if I swap preview program scenes, so obviously we have preview and program, right? If I check this box, then what happens is when we do our transition, whatever it is that we do, it's basically going to swap the two. So it's going to take whatever we're doing in our preview and put it on our live stream, and whatever was on the live stream and put it on the preview, like so. Right? So now we can make changes here and without it being shown on the live stream. Maybe we want to make our webcam bigger, for example. Then we can transition back and the webcam is bigger, everything is done, and it looks great. Okay. So that's what that does. The other option, the duplicate sources. Now with this one and the duplicate scene, basically what these do is it will allow you to make changes. So we're gonna go ahead and do duplicate sources, and let's say we're on our game screen, right? So now what's happening here? If let me just uncheck both of these. Oops. So if I do a change here, you'll see how it's changing while it's live, right? So if I need to move my webcam, say we loaded into a new game and we want our webcam to not cover some crucial screen elements like a status bar or something like that, and we want our webcam to the other side. You can see how it moves it on the live scene, right? So what we want to do then is we're going to come in here and we're going to click on duplicate scene. And now when I move, when we're working on the same scene, it doesn't change it for the live view. So we can come in here and be like, oh my God, my webcam's covering up my health bar that people need to see while I'm playing. So I'm going to move my webcam over to the left side, and then we can transition, and then it moves it for us, right? And then if we change games again or whatever, we want to go back, and then we can just click our button, and there it goes. And then the same thing with the duplicate sources. If we have this checked as well, I can actually change the source. So if I come in here and just change this to something else, let's say this guy, I don't know, that works, right? You'll see that it doesn't change, right? But if we uncheck this, there, the change happens. And now if I go in and change it again, and we'll change it back to this guy, it changes automatically. But you have to be careful with the duplicate sources when you have this one checked, because basically what it does, as you can imply, is it duplicates that source. So it's making an extra copy. So if you're doing like a video feed or a web source, a web browser source or something like that, one of the caveats is it can use a lot of CPU resources because it's making duplicate sources until you hit that transition button. Okay, so you want to be very, very careful when using the duplicate sources option. I recommend that you leave it off so that you can do your changes and stuff and then just transition to make them live there for you. Okay, but let me make this smaller because we're going to talk about a couple of other things as well. So the last thing in the center is the quick transition, the little plus sign. And if we click this, you will be able to add any of the transitions that you have added to the primary scene transition dock. So you see we took the the fade away so we can add the fade back, and then there it is now. And if I come in here and let's say we want to add a new one, we're going to click the plus button, and I want to add a stinger transition as my default, right? I can pick the video file, whatever we want, blah, blah. I'm not going to bother doing the setup for that for you right now because that's just going to take too much time. But instantly, you'll see that stinger is now an option in here, and I can put that there. And then when I click the button, it'll transition using that stinger transition. If you don't want one of these, you just click the little down arrow. So let's say the fade to black, we're never going to use that. We just come in here, we click remove, and then it takes it out of the source option. Okay. The one things you do want to be careful of, there are a couple of source types that will not show up in the preview side over here on the left, no matter what happens. And this is a lot like video files, green screen effects, and things like that. So for example, if we add one, let me just come down here real quick. We're going to add a media source, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to find a green screen that I have somewhere. Let's go graphics. We're going to go videos, green screens. I have a little Zoolander one here. And you'll see it's blank. There is no preview of this, right? And even if I click OK, it's technically there, but it's not there until I hit my transition button, and then it shows up. Okay, so that's one of the kind of the downfalls, is you kind of have to realize that isn't going to show up until you make it go live. So that's just something to keep in mind, right? So now when we do our transition, because we're in studio mode, no matter what I do, I can't get this to replay, right? So I have to come out of studio mode. And now when I do it, you'll see that it shows up, right? And if we click into studio mode again to go back, if I disable it, re-enable it, it's not going to play. So if you're having issues like, why is my new source that I just added not showing up? I added a whole bunch of clips to my Be Right Back screen. You'll see here, for example, I have a clip here. Here's my clips, right? It's not doing anything. But if I do the transition, you'll see that the clips are showing up here now, and I can actually go in to my Be Right Back screen on the preview side, and I can turn the visibility off. It doesn't do it. We do the transition, it's off. But if I want to toggle it while live, we have to exit studio mode. Okay, so media sources, green screens, things like that, when you're in studio mode, they're not going to be visible. So just keep that in mind. And then once you exit studio mode, everything will work as it's expected. Okay, and then the last thing we need to cover here are the settings. So we're going to come in here. We're going to go either, you can come in here and click the settings button here, or file and settings here. Either way, doesn't matter. It gets you to the same spot. On the general tab, we're going to scroll down, and you'll see studio mode has its own section, right? So we have three options here, and we'll just cover what they do real quick. So we have the show preview program label. Now that's just the label up top to let you know which side. So if we uncheck this and click apply, you'll see the labels have disappeared. You can leave those on, but they're on by default. And then that way we know what we're actually looking at. The enable portrait or vertical layout is of the canvas area. So if we check this box and click apply, you will see now that we are top to bottom. And in this case here, the program is the top version. This is the one that was on the right. So this is what's going out live. And the bottom one is the preview. And that's the one where you want to make, okay. That's the one you want to make all of your changes on. And then you can transition from bottom to top, right? This is kind of, as you can see, really, really difficult for most people to see, but it can work like if you're on a vertical monitor, for example, give you a little bit more space, vertically. But for most people, that's going to be very annoying. So you want to make sure, again, in your settings that we disable the portrait, and we can apply and everything goes back to normal. And then the final thing is this transition to scene when double clicked. So we're going to come in here, enable this. We're going to click apply. So now what happens, instead of clicking these buttons here, if I'm messing around on my game and I'm like, oh shit, I need to go BRB. So we can come in here, we can transition to our be right back screen, right? So now this is what's going on live. And now we can make a change. So, oh, we need to move the webcam over and maybe we're going to change games. So we're going to close down Stardew here and we're going to open up Ghost Exorcism Incorporated, right? And now that that's done, we can go back from our be right back screen. And with that check done in the settings, we can double click the scene here instead of the buttons here. So if we need to change our game scene there, we need to go BRB, we can double click and it'll change it depending on whatever the default transition that you have set is. Just remember that this can use a lot of CPU resources. You won't see a lot of your video or media source files when you're doing your edits or additions in studio mode. So you want to exit studio mode when you're done with it. But some of the best practices, one of the things that you can do here, and it's very, very good for streamers, is swapping games. And as you just saw us do. So what's going to happen is we're on our game screen. Let me turn that off. We're on our game screen. We're playing our game. And we decide, oh, we're done playing this game. We're going to change to another game, right? Normally what you would do is you would go to your be right back screen so that your stream sees you're on be right back. You would come down, close your game, open the new game. Then you would have to go back to your game scene, go to your gameplay and change it out for Stardew, get the video source to see Stardew and all that. And that's kind of disrupting, right, to chat. So wouldn't it be better if we can swap games while we're on our be right back screen and have OBS just showing everything? Of course we can. So you want to come in, say we go to our be right back screen, we enter studio mode. So remember again, right side, this is what stream is seeing. We can come over here and go to our game scene. We can close down Stardew Valley, open up Ghost Exorcism Incorporated, click OK, make any other changes to the scene that we need to. We're done. Our game is loaded. We've updated our title in Twitch and all of that. And now we just either double click here if you have that setting on or do your transition here. And now we're back from Be Right Backs. We're on our new game. We exit studio mode. Everything continues as normal. So you can see how powerful it can be. It can give you a way to showcase like art. Like if one of your viewers says, hey, I sent you something in Discord, right? And you don't want to show your Discord on screen, you can come into studio mode, add a video, or I'm sorry, add a window capture, right? And we'll just do window capture and we can add our window here and you can see it's not showing up. We can go in then and say, okay, we can crop out all of the stuff that we don't want anybody to see. And let me just pull this picture up that you drew for me real quick, cool like, and then we transition over. There it is. It's showing up. We exit studio mode. We're here. We're done showing off the art. We haven't shown anything from our Discord or whatever that, sensitive information because we were able to crop it out before stream got to see it. We're done. We can just turn the visibility off and go back about our day and play our game. So there's a couple of different reasons why as a streamer you would want to use that. Again, just remember whatever you do, when you're done making those changes and you've transitioned to the new scene or to show the new source, you exit studio mode so that the changes are actually seen, they are active and interactive as well. And that's it. Studio mode, super simple, but really, really powerful. And it gives you a way to be more professional looking instead of trying to fumble around to change a game or to change a source or to add scenes or sources while you're live and having everybody see what you're doing, right? Pretty simple stuff there. And hopefully you get more use out of studio mode now and you see a way that you can make changes to your live stream while live without having to look like a fumbling idiot like I did and when I first started streaming and still do to this day, but nobody make fun of me for that. Okay. But anyway, uh, there's so many different things that you can do. If you have found a unique way to utilize studio mode, drop it in the comments below. Let everybody else know. One of the things I do, for example, I have my first in chat redeems, and sometimes some of the redeems get redeemed at the same time and they kind of overwrite each other. And I have to go to my alert scene to manually change them to show the right avatars and then exit back. I use studio mode for that so that I am still on camera. The game is still playing. Uh, Everybody can still hear me because I don't have webcam and audio and gameplays in my alert scene. Obviously, I can make those changes and then exit studio mode, and the changes are made for me, and nobody is the wiser. So if you have a unique use for studio mode, drop it in the comment below. Let everybody else know so that we can all share in the cool things that you have found to use studio mode for. If you like the video, give me a little thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Bearded Ink. We do tutorials here on YouTube, and we go live every Saturday to answer your streaming related questions while we're live so that you get the answers right away with video and on-screen help available. And if any of that interests you, click the little subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so that you get alerted every time I do post a new tutorial or when I do go live every Saturday. And we'd love to see you in the chat or in the comments of any of those videos. And enjoy studio mode now that you are a professional streamer and you can look the part. But until the next time, everybody, thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next tutorial. Love, peace, and chicken grease.